doing is we'll be saving 5 integers inside the array that we have named as marks, right? So what we can do is we can change it to like 100. If we want to save 100, we can change it to 1000. It will depend on the amount of memory that we are having. By memory, I mean the main memory, because at the time we will be executing the program, we will be utilizing the main memory, right? Just in order to look at, in order to see how this works, we'll be just saving only 5 integers here. So it will be just simulating the marks. So therefore, now we have an array. The name of that is marks, and we'll be saving marks for 5 students, 5 different students. All right. So I'll be just giving a meaningful message here so that you will be able to enter the marks. Okay, so that is with respect to entering the marks. Now, how do we actually enter the marks? So there are different ways to do that. So as I told you in the previous class, when we have an array, we have 3 things associated with an array. So the first thing that is associated with an array is the name of the array. So in our case, the name of our array is the marks. The second thing is the values that we're going to enter there. So that is the marks that we'll be entering for. What is the marks? What are the marks for roll number 1, roll number 2, roll number 3, and so on. All right. Now, the third thing is the index. In C, index for an array starts from 0. All right. So therefore, how do we differentiate between the marks for roll number 1 all the way up to roll number 5? So in this case, what will happen is marks of 0 will determine the marks for roll number 1. So it will start like this. So this will be the marks for the first box in that array that we have designed in the previous class, that I showed you in the previous class. So in this place, so this is the index here. So this represents the index. So we can write it this way. So I'll say, okay, marks for first students is, then for the second, it will be obviously 1. So then marks for 2 is, let's say, 87. Marks of 3 is 77. Then we have marks for 4, 65. All right, so this is how we are able to statically enter the marks. So this is the way कि जब हम सिर्फ compile time पे इसमें marks enter कर सकते हैं. It's the same way that we did in the earlier classes when we were doing this addition of 2 numbers or finding whether the number is even or odd, just by giving that value in the program itself. All right, so we have actually entered the 5 marks here. Now, how do we see what are those 5 marks? So in order to do that, we have to use a for loop, the same way as I told you in the previous class. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I'll start that I from 0, because we know that index start from 0. So we'll be using this variable I for indexing into the array. Okay, for I equal to 0, I less than 5, then I plus plus. So now what we have to do here is printf So here is the point. So what I'll be doing is I'll be printing the marks, but marks of I. So first time I'll be printing marks of 0. So that means this one, 53 here. And the second time we'll be printing the marks for the roll number, this marks of 1, then marks of 2, marks of 3, and marks of 4. So that's why our array goes all the way from 0 up to I less than 5. All right. So I'll make it simply like this. Okay. So let's see how it works out. Okay, so let's see. Is that clear? So what we have done is enter the 5 marks for the 5 students. We have done it statically. Here we know that marks for roll number 1 is going to be 53, then roll number 2 is 55, 3 is 87, and 4 77, and 65. What we are doing in this program is just we are printing those marks to the output screen here. Is that clear? Any questions here?
No, sir.
So now what we'll do is, as we have seen that entering anything statically into a program is not going to be a that great idea. So I was just showing you guys that this is what we can do. This is how we can do this. See here, we can also do it in another way. We can do it in this way as well. So I'll say marks of 5 is like this: 53, then 55, 87, 77, and 65. So what I need to do is I need to comment out these lines. Okay, so let's see now how it, okay. So I need to add a semicolon here. Now see, again it works here because the point here is you can statically assign the values for an array in two ways. This is one of the ways. So automatically what happens, at the 0th position it will be 53, one first position 55, second position 87, and so on. So this is the one way of doing it. This is another way of doing it. So you can do it in either of the ways. Now the point is this is, at the end of the day, the both of these things are like, how do you add statically the mark, that is at the compile time. Now what if we have to do it at the runtime? So in that case, how will we do it? So let me rub it out. So here we will do it at a runtime. So that means dynamically we will add these marks. That means for different runs of the program, so there will be different results. So what we're doing is, so again what we have to do is we have to add marks 5 times. So you can think of it like we are doing the similar work multiple number of times. So therefore we have to use loops in this case. So I'll use a loop here. For I equals 0, I less than 5, then I plus plus. Now what we are going to do inside the loops is we are going to use scanf. Okay, so we have to use the scanf 5 times. So that's why we have got this loop running 5 times. So what is going to happen here? Scanf. So I'm entering an integer. So where are we entering the integer? Ampersand of marks of I. So first time we'll enter an integer, so that will go to marks of 0. Second time it will go to marks of 1. Third time it will go to marks of 2, then marks of 3, and then 4. All right. So this is how we'll be able to do it dynamically. So it's just actually the same thing that we have been doing, like entering the marks using scanf, entering any value using scanf. But यहाँ पे आप क्या कर रहे हैं? We are using a loop for this because we know that only thing that is going to be changing, if we don't write loops, what I have to do here is I have to write 5 times the scanf. I'll be writing scanf percentage d, then ampersand of marks of 0, then marks of 1, then 2, then 3. So instead of doing that, we are doing it inside a loop, and we are making a variable I that grows automatically from 0 to 4. Is that clear? So let's see. Okay, now it's saying enter the marks. So I'll say 12, 34, 56, 78, 54. All right. So it's actually printing it again. So let's do it slightly. Let's run this again. Okay. We forgot to use a semicolon here. Now see here, we have to enter the marks for the 5 students. So this is how we add it dynamically. So I add the runtime. So let's say for the first roll number it's 54, 67, 87, 99, and 23. Is that clear?
सर ये कितने डिजिट हो सकता है हमारे नंबर्स?
No, see, you should not be asking that question here. because ये सारे integers.
हम्म
You have already studied that कि integer में कितना value हम store कर सकते हैं.
नहीं सर, एक्चुअली फिर प्रीवियसली प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी ना किसी कुछ
Yes,
प्रोग्राम्स
it
में।
is like for minus 32,600 and something value to plus 32,000. अगर आपका इस वैल्यू इस रेंज में अगर आपका वैल्यू है तो आप इंटीजर डेटा टाइप में उसको स्टोर कर सकते हो.
ओके सर।
अगर उससे ज्यादा हो रहा है, लेट्स से यू हैव टू स्टोर 67,000, so in that case what you will do is there is another data type called as long.
ठीक।
ये इम्तियाज ना डेटा टाइप, मैंने आपको कहा कि ये जो arrays है ये what are these are derived data types, so actually they are based on either integers or floating point numbers or characters. All right, so all of these have their ranges. Why do they have ranges? Because there is a specific amount of memory they occupy. As I told you, integer occupies 2 bytes of memory. So inside the 2 bytes of memory, there is a maximum range that you can only save up to the value 32,600 something. I don't exactly remember that value. So वो आपका value है. In the positive side, it's 32,000. In the negative side, it's also minus 32,000. If you have to go beyond that, you need more space. So that's why you have to change the data type to long int. Same way, there is a range for floating point values also. If you go beyond that range, you have to go for double. Is that clear?
Yes sir.
So अगर मान लीजिए आप you are entering salary for a group of people and you know that जैसे for all the employees of a university or all the employees of any corporation you are adding the salaries and you have used an array for that. Like you got 100 employees and you need to store their salaries. So you know that there are few people जिनकी salary 32,000 से ज़्यादा है. So what you are going to do is you will not be using an integer in that case. So you will be using long int.
Long int.
So if you'll be using integer, there will be problems, as you're saying that हमें problems हुई थी because आपका value 32,000 से ज़्यादा हो रहा होगा, either in positive side or in negative side, right?
Okay sir, thank you.
Okay, now here is the point. Now what we have done here in this program, we have saved the marks of 5 students under the same name. Now what if we have to, I'll tell you, okay, what are the marks for roll number 4? What you will do is you will simply say marks of, let's say 3, because we know that it starts from 0. So you'll say marks of 3 will be the roll number marks for the roll number 4, right?
Yes sir.
So that is fine. You will be able to store these values when we have the values of the same data type. यहाँ पे आप देखो जो भी marks हमने enter किए सारे integers थे, या कभी आप कोई सारे values enter करोगे वो सारे floating point numbers होंगे. आगे चल के जब हम strings पढ़ेंगे, then you will say we will be having a character arrays. All the values will be characters, right? Now, in what situations programs like these, the concepts like these will be useful? Let's say retrieve those values, we are able to see all the marks. Now would you be able to compute the average? If I'll give you the marks for 10 students or 100 students, would you be able to compute the average of those marks, or the maximum of those marks, or the minimum of those marks? Do you able to add this program and compute those things? Yes, what do you think? Would you be able to do that? Let's try and find the average of the marks. So how do we actually find the average? We add up the things and then we divide by the number of instances that we're having. All right. All
जी सर.
Okay, so let's do that. Now, how do we compute the average? How do we add this? So I'll again use the loop.
सर आप कुछ शेयर कर रहे हैं?
Yes, are you not able to see this?
No sir.
Give me a moment. I'll again share it.
Yes, it
Okay,
is no.
so it's here. So I'll again try to find the average here. So I'll again use the loop. Start it from 0. Okay, now what I have to do here? So I'll say sum. So I'll create another variable, another integer here, sum. So here what we'll be doing is we'll be adding up all the values. So I'll say sum equal to sum plus marks of I. Now, did you understand this? Yes. So is this clear?
No sir.
Average. Just
ये
I will
क्यों
tell
हमने
you.
किया use sum is equal to sum plus marks?
So what is happening? How do we compute the average? The first thing for computing average, what I need is the summation of all the things,
Summation.
isn't it? So then we'll divide it by the number of instances. So
Number of.
यहाँ पे हमने क्या किया है? Sum is 0 initially. Here, as you can see in this line, sum is 0. So I am doing 0 plus marks of 0th roll number here, marks of 0. So वो फिर sum में आ जाएगा. Second time उस sum में plus करूँगा marks of 1. Then third time उस sum में मैं plus करूँगा marks of 2. You get it?
Yes sir.
So we are trying to accumulate the marks. So so when this loop will end, so what will happen when this I will go from all the way from 0 up to 4? What will happen?
We'll get the total sum.
In the variable sum, I will have the total marks. सारे students के मिला के. Before this loop, what is the value of sum? 0.
0.
Now after this loop will end, what will be the value of sum? Total marks.
Total marks.
Is this clear?
Yes sir.
So यहीं पे आपको देखना है. So it's like, so whenever I told you even last time, whenever you are doing addition, you have to make sure that you will initialize that variable with 0, like I have done here. If I would have been doing multiplication, I would have initialized it with 1. So it has nothing to do with programming, it's just basic mathematics, right? Okay, so I need to define this variable again. I need to declare this variable again, this average here. We have not done that, so let me do that again. So instead of having that as integer, so I'll be declaring that as floating point now. Right? So that is how we'll compute the average. So now
एवरेज के
let's
टाइम हमें मैन्युअली जरूरी है लिखना है 5 या
no,
जो जितने
5.
भी
It's
हमारे
not that. See, I could have written I here, because what will be the value of I?
लेस देन 1 एक
It
कम
will be,
होगा
नहीं एक कम नहीं होगा, it will be exactly 5. You just work that out. ठीक है? ये I प्लस प्लस होगा ना लास्ट में, तब जाके ये कंडीशन फॉल्स हो जाएगी ना.
ओके तो 6 आएगा
No, not 6, it will be 5. You just work
5
that out.
4 plus 1 5 हाँ जी सर
You आप उसको देख लेना, ठीक. You don't have to write that 5, just for to ease the understanding, तब मैंने 5 लिखा वहाँ पे. Okay, so here what I have to do here is I'll say %f. So first of all I'll do this. Average marks are %f, comma, yes, average. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's enter the marks for 43, 67, 87, 99, and 87. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, could you find out the maximum minimum marks? Could you do that? Maximum is minimum. Who could you find out?
Mm,
Just think about it, right? So we'll try to do that in the next class, but try to think about these things. All right. So if you have I'll give you 1,000 marks. Those are stored in an array. Let's try to find out what are the maximum among those. Let's try to find out what is the minimum among those. Fine. फिलहाल करिए तो you should reproduce this program. You should be able to write it by yourself. All right.
Okay, sir.
So now onwards, I'll give you assignments daily. So you'll have to make the add them up and then submit it. That will be part of your marks for the minor examinations. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So for that, and this program is going to be one of those. So you'll have to reproduce this program by yourself. Is that clear? So that's why I'll stop the share. Please write it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And think about finding the minimum and the maximum of the values in an array. We'll do it in the next class. We'll write a program on that in the next class. Okay. See you in the next class.